A crazy Karen and her family threatened to unalive me at work. I used to work at a go-kart track arcade type place. Most of the people who work there are anywhere from 15 to 19 years old, me being 17 at the time of the incident. Because of the age of the employees, I can understand why someone who's much older might feel a little cautious about our dependability and ability to follow the rules. But I can assure you, we never messed around and we never broke any rules, even with our dumb juvenile brains. For the most part, we were really good workers. I specifically worked the go-kart track. We had an outside and indoors track. I was working the outdoor track at the time. A big family of about 10 to 15 people walk up to the line and start getting into the go-karts. I stopped the one child and asked for her height because she looked too short to go on the go-kart. Turns out she was well below the height minimum, and I told the crazy Karen that her daughter can't drive, but since the go-kart is a two-seater, she can ride as a passenger with someone else in the car driving her. This Karen and her husband were not having it. Apparently, they were there earlier in the day when I wasn't working, and the employee working there at the time let her daughter drive. I explained to her that my coworker made a mistake by letting her drive and shouldn't have driven the first time, and we will figure out which employee that was and reprimand them. I then told her that her daughter is allowed to drive the go-karts on the inside track because they are slower, and we let shorter, younger people drive them because of the increased safety. So if she wants, they can go in there or stay outside and just have her daughter ride as a passenger, whatever they want. And I guess today this evil, crazy Karen was not having it. Instead of being understanding and just making her daughter ride as a passenger, she told me she was going to slap me and my coworkers, who were also working on the track at the time, and then later saying she was going to unalive us, all while screaming at us and making a huge scene. I figured this was beyond my power, so I called my manager over to mitigate the situation. When my manager gets there, evil Karen and her husband pull out their phones and start recording me saying how I was being racist and derogatory towards them, and that because I was wearing my school's wrestling team sweatshirt, they figured out my school and were going to call them to tell them the horrible things I supposedly said to them. They also said they were going to post the video they took of me doing literally nothing and post it on social media. Now, I'm a pretty big guy, being 6 foot and 230 pounds at the time, and having multiple years of football and wrestling under my belt. I know my boundaries very well, and I know what I am capable of. Combined with my temper, I knew that if I had to stay around much longer, it would get ugly. I was in no mood to be putting up with their garbage any longer, so I quickly left to go clean inside and calm myself down. It wasn't my problem anymore now that my manager was there. Apparently, they went back inside to scold the owner of the business, my boss, and the crazy Karen recorded her and gave her the same treatment she did to me, and the owner ran out of the building, a sobbing mess. My manager eventually lets them ride for free on the inside track, and they shortly left afterwards. The worst part was that the owner and the manager blamed it on me because apparently my large stature might intimidate people, and I need to be extra careful when people speak to me, and vice versa, which is totally ridiculous. I'm a calm guy most of the time, and I've always been very nice and courteous with employees, especially this terrible Karen. The fact that I didn't explode in tears at a little bit of confrontation puzzled me a little, and made me wonder if my boss should be allowed to be criticizing me, since she can't hold her things together. Never heard anything from my school or saw anything pop up on social media that led me to believe that they were just manipulating the situation to get a free ride, which my terrible manager gave them, instead of kicking them out or calling the cops like they should have. That is a horrifying situation to be in. These people literally threatened to unalive this guy, all because their daughter was just too small for the ride they were going on. Absolutely craziness. And the worst part about it is that the owner and the manager blamed the guy that was being yelled at. These people should have been banned immediately for life. Shunned, publicly shamed. You don't treat teenagers like that. At the end of the day, this guy needs to find a new job. And if he does decide to stick around there, he needs to call the police the next time these people come in, because nobody deserves to be threatened over something so simple and mundane.
The full version of this video is on the Am I the Jerk YouTube channel, so check the link in the description for it. And if there are any updates to this story, that's where they'll be. There is also a podcast version of this show on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever you use. Just search Am I the Jerk. It's perfect for those of you guys that use Spotify or whatever platform you want to listen to podcasts while you're driving or on the bus or drawing or planning to take over the world. So go check out the Am I the Jerk and Am I the Genius podcasts on any of those platforms.